Alright, welcome back, and it's time to take a look at the Acroplan. Now this is a very interesting vehicle. This is the most unique vehicle that we have ever received so far. This is technically an aircraft. I say technically because this aircraft wasn't designed to really fly that high. It's designed to fly very close to the surface of the water, and it's honestly one of the more interesting engineering feats that we have seen so far, when it comes to aircraft at least. Now, the Acroplan or the PR903 Lun-Class is technically classified as a boat here, although a boat with wings, a flying boat. It's a very odd classification. In the game here it's been looked at as a destroyer, I believe. Now, it does have some autocannons, anti-aircraft autocannons at the back of the vehicle, which I would say is never going to be used because we are in naval battles. So yeah, I don't see those autocannons being used for ships, but you know, it's there, I guess. It does have 760 millimeter missiles, and it has 6 of them, which can be yeeted out fairly quickly. Engine has 6 turbine engines. This is technically a jet, the first ever jet added in the game, by the way. And you do have some X-rays, and you do get flaps. You do get pretty much the same things that you get on an aircraft, but they're just named differently to fit the naval aspect of the game mode. So again, a very unique vehicle, a very odd to see an aircraft, technically an aircraft in naval battles, but here we are. An aircraft that's able to launch ballistic missiles. Isn't that? I wish we had this in air battles. It would be pretty hilarious, actually. Although I would say it wouldn't be really useful because not all maps have a lot of water, and this is technically a amphibic vehicle. Now, when it comes to gameplay, I actually did struggle a little bit. The first video I made on this vehicle wasn't really what I would consider to be up to my standards, because I usually like to upload a good battle, but that's pretty much the best I had at the time, and I just didn't want to not upload a Acroplan video, so I just decided to pick the best I got there at that time, and that's how the first video on this vehicle was made. However, I think this battle will be better. I kind of learned the vehicle a bit more, and after playing it a couple times, I actually, you know, I don't usually play naval battles, but this thing might make me play naval battles because I just enjoy it so much. So, how does this vehicle play? It's fairly fast for a boat. You can hit like 220 km per hour, although in reality the top speed on this thing should be 500 plus km per hour, but for balancing reasons that's been cut in half. So yeah, that's something to consider. You can take off, and it does actually maintain the close proximity flight to the water surface. After all, it's designed to do that. But you can also land. So the overall gameplay on this thing is honestly very interesting, and overall for this game so far extremely unique. It does have the Acroplan way of flying. You do take off, and you get to see the effects. You get to see pretty much the waves and stuff like that. So when it comes to the graphics and stuff like that, they've done an amazing job. Of course, you have to be careful. If you do make abrupt turns, this thing can actually turn over for some odd reason. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but you have to be careful with how you fly this thing, because if you do make a abrupt turn, if you make a sharp turn or anything like that, the aircraft literally can just stop down and go into the water. Now there's an Acroplan, and as you can see, it does fly. It does fly above the surface of the water, as it should be. You don't have to be in a direct line of sight to launch the missiles onto the enemy. You can pretty much just fly around and just launch the missiles. They will fly, and they will make turns, and they will hit the enemy vehicle. Now, when it comes to tactics, how to launch the missile, because you do have these interceptor missiles on the enemy ships and aircraft, it's important to launch one missile first and then let the enemy launch the interceptors, and then to launch the rest of the ballistic missiles that you have on the aircraft. Now that's something that I wasn't really doing in the first video. I knew about that tactic though, but it's something that I would definitely be using a lot more. I don't know if I did use it in this video, but that's the tactic. Basically launch one missile, and then once the interceptor missiles on the enemy are on cooldown, then you can just yeet all the other missiles onto the enemy. Now, when it comes to survivability, for an aircraft, it's one of the most survivable aircraft that we have seen, because it can literally eat missiles. But when it comes to naval battles, it's kind of like glass cannon. It has very good maneuverability, it has decent defenses when it comes to anti-missile defenses, but it's still an aircraft, and it definitely will not have nearly enough armor as an actual battleship or missile ship or destroyer or something like that. But you are fast, this thing is very fast, and you can easily just maneuver around the map and dodge the incoming projectiles, and you can use the missile defense stuff for missile defense. Overall, I like to fly. Well, I kind of don't know, really, definitely not. I'm currently in flight mode, so yeah, this thing is currently airborne, technically airborne. But definitely a, let's just say, a very unique experience. There's no denying it. Okay, the enemy Acroplan has been blown up. I think we will see more of these things added in the future. I mean, I'm all to see odd and interesting vehicles. This is the most unique vehicle that we have received so far, and I'm actually kind of glad that Naval did get such a unique vehicle, because I haven't been playing Naval at all. I did play Naval back a couple months ago, last time basically, but this vehicle will definitely make me play naval battles a lot more, because I honestly enjoy this thing. And it is funny when it is very funny when a aircraft made me play naval battles. I think that's the funniest part about it, is that an aircraft made me play the naval battles, which is interesting. I mean, adding an aircraft and calling it a boat, yeah, that's a very interesting thing to do. And there is a submarine. We will have to play catch the submarine. I absolutely love that this thing can just yeet 6 ballistic missiles at the enemy. Definitely absolutely a unique experience. There is no denying it. The turning is actually also interesting. I don't know if the real life Acroplan was able to make sharp turns like that. I know that thing was also able to fly very low, and was very fast. Is there any other very odd looking vehicle like this in the game? I think not in the game, but I need to actually look up at some of the older aircraft and ships, because I'm very sure there's other very odd and weird vehicles like this that have been built in real life.
9,000 meters. Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
I personally feel like the most interesting part about this anniversary is the Acroplan. I personally believe that. I mean, the talk is nice, and there is also that aircraft for air battles that I may or may not use. I may or may not fly that thing. I will decide whether I want to buy it or not. I have time to basically buy it. I'm thinking if I should I buy the new aircraft and play the aircraft. What do you guys think? Should I buy that thing, and should I make a video on it? If you guys want me to fly the aircraft, in air battles, the bomber, I think. The boat, if you want me to fly that, I will. although I'm thinking it would be pretty interesting to see the Acroplan in air battles. We wouldn't be able to use it in most maps because most maps are not really aquatic. And I think it's actually a good idea to put this thing into naval battles because it does fly very close to water, and I feel like in real life it would definitely be fighting ships because it's also in the water. I'm just imagining in real life how it would look if, imagine you're sitting on a battleship or destroyer and you just see something flying like 500 km per hour on the water. I think it would be pretty weird, and maybe even a shocking experience to see something this big just fly that fast near the water. Someone said one wave and it's all over. Yeah, it would be. Imagine a wave splashing on this thing while going 500 km per hour. Yikes. Yeah, definitely, honestly, a very interesting concept vehicle. A very interesting vehicle indeed, there is no denying it. I see torpedoes, I hear torpedoes. You can actually, fun fact, you can get hit by torpedoes if you're in flight mode, if you're flying basically. Even though it should not be possible because torpedoes are meant to hit the hull below the water or in the water. If you're going full speed and if a torpedo is in your way, you will take damage. So that's one thing I personally don't really like, because you should not be taking any torpedo damage if you're going full speed and if you're in flight mode. Now I say flight mode because at low velocities this vehicle is in water, basically swimming. With low velocities the vehicle is in water. At high velocities you're flying. So that's interesting. Okay, 54% left on the submarine there. And they have submerged. Well, it's just one ship left at the end. Let me try to lock on. Locked. And yeah, that's one good hit. And the submarine destroyed. So, with that being said, that was the Acroplan, a very interesting and unique vehicle that we have received in the game. And with that being said, tell me what you think about the Acroplan. And as always, if you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe. And as always, I'll see you next time.